Cincinnati Bengals. They finished at 10-7 last year and were the runner-up to the Rams in the Super Bowl. Really, only guy they lost that's really notable is Larry Ogunjobi, which he failed his physical with the Bears, so he's still a free agent. There has been talk of re-signing him, so he would be a huge addition back to that defense. But really, I mean, most of their roster is coming back in 2022. They spent most of their resources this offseason in addressing the offensive line. And they also targeted the secondary early in the draft. The biggest storyline here with the Bengals is the line. It has been massively upgraded. They added Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, Lael Collins. And then second rounder from last year, Jackson Carman, has completely retooled his body, and Jonah Williams will be back on this team. So PFF grades for their offensive line last year was 61.42, which is dog shit. And in 2022, 74.68. So this is the massive thing. It's going to help the offense all the way around. Joe Burrow played really good last year. But I think this year he's actually going to be better because they pretty much scrapped any play that had a 5 or 7 step drop back because the line just couldn't protect him. So this offense could have even more monster games this year, which will be huge. The line also helped Joe Mixon. He had 334 touches last year, averaged 4.1 yards per carry, and played 65% of the team's snaps. He finished at RB4, and this year there's room for more, I believe. If Joe Burrow is going to drop back more, that probably means less receptions for Mixon, but it's also going to open up holes that he can take advantage of there. Samaje Perine pretty much is the backup. Last year when Mixon got hurt, he slotted right into it and got all the snaps that Mixon was getting. But someone to keep an eye on is Chris Evans. A lot of people are writing him off. He is more of a third down back, kind of a scat back type guy. But the beat writers just continue to rave about his catching ability and shiftiness. So he's not a bad dynasty stash as he goes into year 2. Oh, man, the receivers. Burrow sustained 3 top 30-ish receivers last year, which is absolutely insane. We'll see if he can do that again. But Jamar Chase, we don't need to get too much into him. He had an absolute monster rookie season. Some would argue that it was better than Randy Moss in 98, but we should not be comparing Chase to Moss this early in his career, but it is one hell of a start. T. Higgins was back, another 1,000-yard season. He was cut short due to a labrum injury back in September, caused him to miss 3 games, but he was averaging 7.9 targets per game. He is an absolutely elite wide receiver 2 with wide receiver weeks. It's hard for me to have 2 wide receiver 1s on the same team, but we'll get into that another time. He did have his shoulder operated on this offseason, so it's something to monitor going into training camp to make sure he's coming back to 100%. Tyler Boyd saw roughly the same snap percentage in 2021 that he's had his whole career, right around 70%. He finished as wide receiver 31. So wide receivers, I love Higgins and Chase. Boyd, I don't know if he can continue that, even being the possession guy that he is, especially with adding Hayden Hurst. He's nothing special, but he jumps right into CJ Uzama's role. And CJ Uzama was the 4th highest routes run by a tight end last year. He finished with 63 receptions for 494 yards and 5 touchdowns, which was useful for fantasy. Back in 2020, Hurst produced 58 for 571 and 6 touchdowns with the Falcons. So you could argue this is an absolute upgrade at the tight end position. I'm not huge on Hayden Hurst, but if he sees that type of volume, he could definitely be fantasy useful here. Do you guys have anything to add on the offense?
I do. And this isn't really disagreeing with you. I get why the hate is on Tyler Boyd, but the thing about Tyler Boyd is not only was he still a top 30 wide receiver last year, but if
he was 31, slow your roll. He was 31.
My apologies. Top 31 wide receiver last year. The thing about him is if anything were to happen to T. Higgins or Chase, he would immediately vault into that wide receiver 20 range. So that is why I think you keep him where he's at. And his ADP is phenomenal. I mean, in the 8th, 9th round? I mean, you're not having to pay an arm and a leg for him. Obviously, I want Jamar Chase or T. Higgins for any of my teams. But at the same time, I'm not upset about getting Boyd. I think it's actually where he's fallen is going to be really nice. And he's going to be one of those guys that, yeah, it's my wide receiver 4, but let's see what happens.
Are we handcuffing wide receivers now?
I
So we're
think
gonna-
on this kind of team, yes. I think you absolutely handcuff a receiver on a
Yeah.
team like this.
No, I wasn't hating on Boyd. I just something's got to give in there. I don't think it's sustainable, but
I guess I didn't say you were. I was just saying I get it. I like Boyd. I think that he's like
I think it's interesting that Higgins missed 2 games here. I don't think I really realized that. He missed week 3 and he missed week 4, and he still finished top 24 PPR. And
Yep.
look at the number of 100-yard games he had. Because I heard some guys on a show talk, or I heard some guys just on Twitter, saw some guys on Twitter talking kind of down on him. I mean, 198-yard game, 114, 138, 114. And again, he's missing weeks in the season. He's already thrown up some huge games.
What weeks did you say he missed again?
He missed 3 and 4.
Well, Tyler Boyd had 13 and 20 points in those games. So
So
confirming
you could basically just kind of screenshot those
Slot him
over.
in.
slot in
Yeah,
Tyler Boyd.
fuck
for
it.
that.
He's a
Yeah.
top 3 wide receiver. Heard it here first.
where he's going in drafts right now, you could handcuff the wide receivers. You go Chase early, you could slot a Tyler Boyd in there late.
I'd be okay with getting actually legitimately handcuffing one of them and just hey, I'll take him back.
The one thing I will say just in earnest about this team is I have Burrow pretty high. He's like as my quarterback 4. And I do think that Hayden Hurst is a player that, based on what we saw of CJ Uzama last year, the usage is likely going to be there. And with a guy like Burrow, who, again, we just talked about, he made 3 wide receivers relevant. And, I mean, CJ Uzama was plenty fine on the weeks he was fine last year. And that's what you want from a tight end you can get late. Hayden Hurst, people tried to gas him up so much when he went to Atlanta. He's going to be the new Austin Hooper. And it was just like, yeah, that's not what's going to happen here. But, okay. But I do think now.
Well, he kind of was the new Austin Hooper, disappointing and
No, because that wasn't
Yeah.
that's the new Austin Hooper. He was supposed to be a version of the oldest Austin Hooper, the good one in Atlanta. And then he went to the Browns and became the new Austin Hooper, which is bad, which is awful.
I get there's going to be targets there, but really in reality, they should be going to Tyler Boyd or these other receivers. I think personally, Hayden Hurst is just not that good. I think he's a blocking tight end, which is why they got him because
Wow.
their line sucks. And I'm not
That's a
excited
take.
about Hayden Hurst at all. 22nd tight end.
Did you
Here's
think
my
CJ
thing is-
Uzama was good last year before he was
I thought Uzama had a chance, and then he
having
never really
3
did it.
touchdown games?
Like I said, I don't think Hayden Hurst doesn't have a chance, but having one
He'll have
good
a
year,
couple-
being
he'll
on
have a
your third
couple
team
weeks.
in 4 years.
Josh, I think the Bengals could put you in as tight end, and with those 3 wide receivers and then Mixon in the backfield, you'd be wide open a lot of the time. So
Hey, thanks, man. I'm pretty
I
fast.
think
though.
anyone who plays that role is going to be
Okay, so am I the
valuable.
only one that thinks Hayden Hurst is not that good?
I don't think he's.
I'm not
bad.
saying
I
he's
just think
good.
he
It
has a
doesn't matter
pulse,
if you're
man.
good or not when Joe Burrow's throwing you the football. I mean, did we
I
think
just
CJ
feel like-
Uzama was good? No, look at this. 26-point game, 25-point game, and then a few other regular
And
games.
that's it.
Still
If you're not going
terrible.
to bank on playing Hayden Hurst ever, is the thing. You're like, sure, he might have a 20-point game, but
It
the
will
game you
be
put
a
him in, he's going to
desperate-
get 3.
desperate times, desperate measures.
Yeah, I'm not
or if there's
For
drafting
like a
how
tight
thin
end.
tight
Hayden
end
Hurst.
is, though, I don't hate it. I don't hate stashing
It's
him.
not that thin.
There's worse tight ends. Okay, let's talk about it in the context of underdog.
It's
Okay,
not that thin.
he's a tight end I would rather have as my tight end 2. Yes, I'll give you that. But I'm not wanting him on my team based on how quickly that tier goes from like is good to I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
He's a good
Yeah.
best ball tight end. I think we all can
Exactly,
agree there.
exactly.
Like
We
you're
can-
not
okay,
going to know
right?
the weeks to play him, but you're the weeks that he pops
He's a
off.
boomer
allow
bust
it.
You're
tight
going to
end.
be
Ever
glad
heard
you
of it?
have him. You're going to be glad you had him.
He's a
It's
boomer
just not
bust
gonna be
tight
very
end. Ever
often.
heard of it?
I know. I feel
I'm
like
just saying
we're
I
gonna be
wouldn't
hearing-
start him in redraft or dynasty for that matter. Even.
All right, let's talk
Literally,
about this defense. We got
Well,
some
I was going to
killers
say on our
this
Sunday
defense.
shows, we're literally going to have so many questions about Hayden Hurst or blank at tight end. We're going to be hearing
It's
that
always
the
going to be
whole
Hayden
season.
Hurst. Always. For me.
That
It might be the
Gotta
blank
be.
for me.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait
Blank.
for that.
Forever
I don't know who the
and
blank
always,
is
my
yet.
love.
Someone will ask
Just
eventually.
don't start anyone. Just take a 0 there.
You might get negative. You don't want that.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk defense.
All right. So on the defense here, the biggest news continues to be Jesse Bates holding out. He does not want to play on the franchise tag, which is very understandable. Neither sides have really budged here. So it's something to monitor as July 15th approaches. Von Bell was pretty solid last year, but they also added Dax Hill. He is looking uber fast in training camp. And they also added Cam Taylor-Britt to the cornerback group. He's long and has extremely good cover skills here. So I think he beats out Eli Apple pretty handily. I know Apple's the vet, but it's Eli Apple. Come on.
Man, they hate Eli Apple's ass.
Yeah. Logan Wilson was absolutely killed it last year. He's looking awesome. And Jermaine Pratt was honestly pretty solid. He was pretty underwhelming year one, but last year he definitely took a step. And he's not going to do anything flashy, but as an LB3 or something, he's pretty solid there. The biggest sleepers ish I have on this team. So the line return. So Trey Hendrickson's coming back and BJ Hill's coming back. They both played at a very high level last year. Sam Hubbard was okay, but he was not good against the run. So an interesting name to monitor here is Joseph Asai. He was injured during the preseason in week one, missed the whole rookie season. But before that, he was making absolute waves in training camp and even earned the starting job on the edge. So they had Sam Hubbard kicking inside, and he was the starter on the edge. So he's an absolute steal right now. He's essentially free, and his ceiling is absolutely unknown. So if you're in a dynasty league, you're in an IDP league, you want someone for fairly cheap that could pay off in numbers, Joseph Asai is the guy.
I'm honestly a fan of all three of them, Hendrickson, Asai, and Hubbard. But Hubbard has primarily not gotten sacks, although last year he ended up getting 7, which was, I think, a career best. But Trey Hendrickson, the last 2 years, has had 13 and 14 sacks, so you're not drafting him. And I think he might be a little pricey. Hopefully Osai actually gets to see the field a little bit more and make a difference. But I don't see him usurping either one of these guys right now.
He did last year.
Trey Hendrickson is one of my proudest takes because he was a beast 2 years ago for the Saints, and PFF was like, he's too efficient. He can't be that good. The Bengals overpaid him. And then he went to the Bengals and basically had a sack a game. He murdered faces. He had some big plays in the Super Bowl. And then nobody
won me some money.
Yeah, he did some big shit. It's funny, those people that always dog on guys like that, when they prove them wrong, they never come back around and say, yeah, I shouldn't have said I was wrong. It's a mistake. They just say, yeah, Hendrickson, he's all right. It's like, whatever. But we've been riding with Trey Hendrickson heavy for 2 years, so I'm glad that we get to slide back over to him. Sam Hubbard, he's not really much of a sack guy, like you said. 7.5 is at a career best. That's kind of sad. He's been in the league for what now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But he does get a lot of tackles. You can generally count on him to have a pretty safe floor. You can see here, he has double digits pretty safely, even without sacks. Where are we at here? Week 8, he had double digits without a sack. Actually, his tackles looks like he got a lot of assists. I do remember there being a lot of assists this year on the Bengals. Anyway, coming full circle, his floor is not really 0. It's generally higher. And he plays a lot of snaps for an edge guy. He's putting up 60, 70 snaps at the edge. That's a lot. And maybe that's why he doesn't get so many sacks, because he's literally just like dog-ass tired by the, third quarter.
Well, Hendrickson gets all of them is the thing. So
yeah,
they help each other out, honestly. And Osai, maybe he does step in and help out.
You don't see Hendrickson playing no 70 snaps, though. Look at his snap share. He don't play no 70 snaps. He got in a contract. He's like, you can't put me over 65, it looks like.
Smart man.
Yeah, smart guy.
Not wrong.
All right, we want to get on to any other closing thoughts on the Bengals. Joe, did you?
I think Jesse Bates. This is not a time to panic sell him in defense in dynasty. He's still very young. He's still very good objectively. He's still very good for IDP. So this is like selling the bottom. I wouldn't do that if you have him on your team already. Just hold him, chill with him. We're not talking about Budda Baker. Same story there. He had a down year. Just because a guy has a down year doesn't mean he's a sell, especially on defense, especially at safety. So just wanted to harp on that before we move on.
It's true. It's fair. Okay. Well, the over-under for the Bengals is 10. Joe, get us the schedule.
All right. So Murders Row, not starting off the start here. We got Steelers, Cowboys, Jets, Dolphins, Ravens, Saints, Falcons, Browns, Panthers, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Bucks, Patriots, Buffalo, Ravens.
Oh, that ending.
Well,
stretch.
if they
At
don't-
9,
Huh.
If
after,
they don't
like-
get to 10 before like week 14, they are fucked.
Yeah.
they got
It was
Wow.
14, maybe week 12. Oh shoot!
I think they do it
Okay.
because they could do what the Steelers have done and other teams have done, where they just ride that hot streak and win 9 games in a row. Because honestly, all those beginning games are at least winnable. There's
Yeah.
still some challenges in there, but that ending is brutal. I was
That
like
is
looking for that
brutal.
10th, and I was like, where is it?
Well, they're gonna win one of those games though. This is a good team. Like they could. They're
Are they
gonna
an
win
even
one
10?
of those.
They're a good team, and I don't think
Even
Zach Taylor
10.
gets quite enough love for being a half decent coach because it's so easy to forget. I mean, he had like the Bengals were bad, not like not good. They were bad,
So
And
Zach
they
Taylor
were the
lost
Super-
in the Super
and
Bowl.
they-
So
and they were one pass interference call away. Some would say from winning. a
no,
Super
they were
Bowl this
one
last
substitution away. Get Samaje Perine ass off the field and
Yeah,
get
that
Joe
too.
Mixon on the fucking field.
year. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Okay.
So I just
litigate
think
that.
I think it needs to be noted, and it's not talked about enough. Zach Taylor's name doesn't get brought up as a good coach. He also built that team. So not only did he build the team, he's drafted all these guys. He's coaching them. So he's making his calls and he's following through, and it's working out. Went and got Trey Hendrickson. A lot of people said that was dumb. Took Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. A lot of people said that was dumb. Joe Burrow still after Justin Herbert, and he saw there was some other guys at the Senior Bowl that year. I remember people were like, "Oh, Joe Burrow's not going to the Senior Bowl." Maybe that was not a real thing, but it was a little tiny thing for a second. But he stuck to his guns on everything, and it's worked out pretty well for him. So a little shout out to Zach Taylor there.
Sounds
And
like
I'm
a
going to say they're going to
better
win.
GM coach to me.
Can I push? Can I say they win 10?
Push.
Well, what if they win 10? You gotta give me
I
a
really
half.
want to say they go 10 as well, but
I mean,
I'm going to take
10.
the over.
That's like what kind of a line
God.
is 10?
Because that's the point. The point is you either have them winning 11 or you have them winning 9. You don't have them winning 10. That's the point.
I'm going to
Because
take the over.
everybody thinks they can win 10. That's the Vegas point.
The team's too talented. They boosted
I'm
the
going
offensive
Vegas has
line.
got 2 outs.
no
I've only
way.
got one way to win. I don't like this.
There's no way they don't go over.
I'm going under.
Okay.
I'm
They
gonna
have,
say
to go, they have to go 9 and 8 for that to happen, Joe.
Yeah.
This roster.
Nope.
That's injuries, maybe.
that's
You
so
two are both
tough. But I'm gonna
pushing?
take it. I'm gonna take the over 2, I guess. I mean, they were fucking good as fuck last year.
I'm
Josh?
over as well. I already said over many times.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad.
What are you taking, Bill?
I'm going over. I think that they're at least at 11, maybe 12.